Despite a rollover accident, the 28-year-old woman involved walked away with only minor injuries. Let's get started with the gloomy weather we had today. Yesterday it was very nice, then it turned dark with, I'm afraid, maybe rain for tomorrow.
Yeah, you have good intuition, or you've been listening
to
me all
attention.
night.
Well, you've heard of the phrase, third time's a charm, but how about the eighth time? Well, Mayor Virg Bernero is going to give his 8th State of the City address to Lansing residents tomorrow. So where is the money going when you pay a driver-related expense like a driver's license or, say, a vehicle registration fee? In your mind, that money is going to a road-related expense, but that's simply not the case. Some of it is going towards Jim's retirement, and some of it is going towards Susie's education. It's likely that they're scared of getting in trouble, Lauren. That's what police say at this point. Today, we're more than 48 hours since the shootings occurred. It's a beautiful neighborhood, freshly cut grass, well-maintained homes. They even have a neighborhood crime watch sign. It's the last place you'd think a shooting would happen. I just want to orient you a little bit so that you can really get an understanding of what happened. There are 3 roads here that make a triangle. There's homes on the outsides of the triangle, but it is here in the middle of this triangle where at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, neighbors say they heard shots. That's where the shooting happened. The drill is intense and at times the video is shaky. Sunday night, officers responded to an all too familiar situation.
It was chilling to hear the words over our radio, a report of shots fired at the Lansing Mall.
1 mall, 2 shooters, and a half-dozen victims. Here you see Deputy Brian Thomas was among the first to enter the building. This is after hours and the mall is closed, but volunteers made the training realistic, and officers say the emotions were there. When officers arrive on the scene, their first item of business is to remove any threat, that way no one else gets hurt. Then they take care of the victims. Once that is done, the Special Response Unit checks the entire building. The officers say the experience gives them confidence. It showed them what they are capable of and how they can improve.
Mr. Command, we just made contact in the back hallway.
A mall is different than a school or church, and so police practice responding to each.
Repetition means a lot to our deputies, and the more training we get, the better prepared Eaton County will be.
If this actually happens someday in mid-Michigan, we can respond knowing that we can work as a team and effectively save as many lives as we can.
It's the last thing anyone wants, but the reality is a shooting can happen anywhere at any time, and Eaton County is doing its best to be prepared. In Eaton County, Brian Johnson, News 10. Caitlin Anderson is 5. She has cerebral palsy. When she was 2 months old, she went into cardiac arrest, causing brain damage. Her mom says doctors said she would spend the rest of her life in a vegetative state. Progress was slow until she discovered chickens.
I like everything about the chicken.
Caitlin loves chickens. You can really see it in her face. So much so that 7 days a week she walks 100 yards back behind this farmhouse just so that she can be with her chickens, something her mom says doctors said she would never be able to do. For Caitlin, chickens are therapy.
She realized it was fun to collect their eggs and feed them. She liked that responsibility of being around them.
But there's one big problem. The farmer who lives next door and owns the chickens is the neighbor of City Councilwoman Karen Davis. The farmer says the city has pretty much forced him out of town.
And since our farm is leaving, our urban farm protection is going with us. So she's going to have the therapy birds stay with her. Well, now it's the city not wanting birds at all.
He says the city is waging a war against chickens. Caitlin's mom has worked to move her daughter's therapy chickens to their property, but the city isn't showing any signs of support, so she took to the internet asking people for help. So far, more than 6,000 folks have signed her online petition, and one councilwoman in Perry doesn't see an issue with letting her keep the chickens.
Our ordinance is set up to where you can have bantam chickens, which are miniature chickens, and what she has is full-size chickens. So the issue really isn't necessarily the service animal, it's the size of the chicken.
The size of the chickens might stop one little girl from getting the therapy she needs, unless the council shows support for a disabled child. In Perry, Brian Johnson, News 10.